Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Real Life Matters with Sandra. I'm continuing with my series on 7 deadly sins, and today we're going to be talking about lust, and I've got ladies from my book club here with me.
I'm Flo. I'm the oldest member of the group, as you keep telling me. So it's nice to be here.
Pauline?
Oh, hi everyone. My name's Pauline, and it's an honour to be have been asked to join this. So I'm looking forward to our conversation and giving some solutions.
Patricia?
Oh, hi. Yeah, hi. My name is Patricia. I'm a friend of Sandra's, and I think she's actually chosen the hardest topic for us to to discuss. But
Yeah.
I'm here to learn as well.
It is wonderful to have you guys here on my channel. So thank you for honouring me. And yeah, let's get stuck in. Let's get right there into this topic of lust. So Flo, do you want to tell us what you think when people are talking about lust, what we mean by that?
You know what? Lust to me is the desire, not just for the carnal, just for anything that you really want that may not necessarily be good for you. It's just that desire to have something. I think lust is born of loneliness, idleness, I don't know. That's what it means to me anyway.
Okay. Patricia?
I think for me, lust is driven by the desire for sexual gratification. At least that's the understanding that most people would have about lust. But of course, it could also extend to other things like, maybe a car or something that somebody else desires. But I think for me, lust is about a desire for sexual gratification. And I think it stems from the evolution of the need to reproduce for humans. So, and also it extends to things like, the way the world we live in today, where people are, they look very plastic and very kind of made rather than, birthed the way they were when they were born. We have this desire where everyone wants to look different and they want to look like somebody else in terms of the makeup and the aesthetics and things like that they put in their faces and their bodies. And I think for me, lust is about a desire for something that you don't have, that you can't have, and maybe you can have, but maybe you don't have it at that time, and so therefore you want it, and then it's this green-eyed thing that my mum used to talk about. She used to say you're red-eye or you're green-eye, and literally you're lusting after something that don't belong to you. That's my idea of lust anyway.
Yeah, that's quite a lot in there, and we're going to try and unpack some of those in our debate, as Flo calls it. Pauline, what's your take on what lust means?
My take on it, and I agree with what both Patricia and Remy have already said. A strong, overwhelming desire, a craving, whether it be sexually or something materialistic that you want, and that you'll do anything to get, no matter who you tread on or who you hurt. And I've looked at the biblical definition of this as well, and it's also lust is without God's love in it. Do you see what I mean? Or wanting something that's out of God's will for your life, that you crave, that you've got to have, and it may not be for you, and it leads to repercussions down the line, obviously.
Yeah, that's thanks for your take. Anyone else want to follow up on that?
So isn't lust, just listening to my sisters there, isn't lust therefore a want of I don't want to say an ideology, but I don't know, a craving for something, a craving of some ideal that you've made up, some thought that you've made up. Not necessarily, as I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be the physical. As Patricia was saying, people upgrade the way they look. Isn't that lust to be something else? I don't know.
I mean, basically what we're saying is lust can be many different things, not just about sexual desire or an item that maybe like a fast car, you know, £100,000 car that you can't afford. It can be kind of really small things as well. And it creates like that envy kind of feeling in you where you want something so badly and you get envious of it. And that can be quite heartrending because it can change you as a person.
It's true.
You know, and the way you behave to people, the way you react to people, it can actually change you because you're resentful of how the things that they have and the things that you're hoping that you want.
Breeds jealousy, that's right.
Yeah.
It's morally not good because it just, I don't know, it basically harms you more than does any good. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you have a strong sexual desire. It's about you. It's selfishness.
It is. It is.
It's a selfish behaviour. It's a carnal behaviour, really, isn't it?
It is.
So let's take the first one, the obvious one that everyone seems to dive into when we talk about lust in terms of sexual desires. I mean, what are those? How are those demonstrated? What's the difference between that and love, for example?
So, to me, initially, when you meet somebody, it's not love, it's lust. I mean, there are very few people who can say that they fall in love at first sight, okay? And that may happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It may happen. But I think initially when you meet somebody, it's based around lust because you desire that person. And so therefore, love and lust is completely two different things. Once you get into that relationship and you instill that respect and that love, then that becomes love. But initially, I think everyone has an element of that lust initially when they first meet somebody.
Well, lust is also instant gratification, isn't it? And self-gratification. You're only looking at yourself and what you want in that instant. And it's got no love behind it. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Flo, what's your view?
I think lust is the physical attraction to something.
Yeah.
And then once you get to understand it and you feel the gratification, then it can lead to love. But in the first instance, I think it's just physical attraction.
But can it though? Can it lead to love? Because I think, like Pauline is just about to say there, you know, lust can remain as lust, as a lustful feeling, and not necessarily graduate, if you like, into love. Because, like, is there this temptation to always want something that we know we can't really get, but we want it, that instant gratification, as Pauline said, you know, that you constantly want that and you're never satisfied.
And if you can attain that lust all the time, why do you have to bring love into it? Do you know what I mean? Why do you have to bring lust into it? People can grow in it. If you're getting what you want when you want it, you don't have to love that person. You don't.
The thing is, as I said 2 minutes ago, was lust is like the initial feeling you have when you meet somebody, okay? And it does actually fade away. If that commitment began to deepen and that emotional intimacy begin to grow, then that lust fades away and it turns to love.
Yeah,
but it depends on what, you know, it depends on what you, when you talk about lust, it depends on whether you're talking about an item or whether you're talking about a person.
Exactly. It's all about emotion.
We'll come to the item bit.
Yeah, I thought that was what Sandra was saying.
Let's just stay in the person for now. For me, the signs of lust is when somebody is focused on someone's looks or their body. They're interested in sex and nothing else. No conversation, not wanting to get to know you or your family members or your friends or anything, and not wanting to keep the relationship deep. You know, it's just a fantasy. For me, that's how I see lust being. It's
and that's fantasy. What it does. It fulfills somebody's fantasy. That's right. It's instant self-gratification. And it has no love. You can't say it grows into love because it's two opposites. Lust, if lust is a sin and love isn't a sin, it cannot merge into one.
Well, I disagree. I do disagree because I feel that initially when you meet somebody, it's not love. How can it be love when you don't know that person? You haven't built that emotional connection to that person. But when you start spending time and that commitment deepens and that emotion deepens, and you start, you know, seeing who that person is, you fall in love with that person. So love does change to love. Lust does change to love. It has to. Otherwise, there won't be that connection with people where they get married and so forth. It wouldn't be.
I suppose it probably
the literal
goes
attraction
back.
of love.
Sorry, Patricia.
Sorry, go on.
Okay, I think for me, I see your point, and I agree with your point in a way, because I think it's, what was your intention? What's your motive at the beginning of that relationship? If your motive is for it to go into being in love with the person, then maybe lust can translate into love later on. But if your intention at the beginning is just to have that instant gratification, instant sexual desire to fulfill that, then it will be very difficult for that to then grow into something bigger, because your intention originally was never really for it to grow.
That's right.
And yes, but it's not about the intention. What I'm talking about is the lust in itself, the initial lust in itself, not whether it goes to the many dimensions that it has. I'm just talking about lust. So lust with the person, when you meet that person initially, it's lust because you desire that person. You something you see in that person, whether it's their face or their bodies or the way they carry themselves, that's the initial attraction, you know, and that's how you feel. You feel like you want to be with that person. But then if your intention is to be with that person, then, you know, you learn about that person and it then grows into love.
So then, Pauline, you mentioned that it's not something that God likes or God wants for us. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Well, my understanding from my research, I've looked at lust from a biblical point of view as having a strong desire for somebody, which is not what God wants for us, because it hasn't got God's love in it. That's not how God ordained man and women to meet via lust. It's from a love point of view. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying I'm finding it hard to understand how lust, if it's a sin, can grow into love. But you know, that's for me to have that offline chat with myself.
Yeah.
Well, we know that the Bible says we shouldn't covet another man's wife or a neighbor's wife. We know that. We know that obviously it's wrong for us to lust after something that doesn't belong to us, because God sees it as a sin. But human beings, you know, they have a different way of how they view things, because not everyone is a God's child, as a godly child. And they don't see their lives like, you know, sometimes read from a Bible, you know. Some people would just see lust as lust because they desire something. Some people would see it because it's something that they want, or maybe they want to be like somebody else. But the Bible states that, what, you know, coveting something that doesn't belong to us is lust, and it is wrong. It is a sin.
Okay, that's good. I think that clarifies it actually very well, Pauline, what you're trying to grapple with in terms of how can lust be acceptable when God is telling us is not. So I think, thanks for that, Patricia. So I think we move it on from being the human element of lust to things, material things, you know, and we've kind of skirted around that in this discussion so far. So I really want us to go deep into that. And Patricia, you mentioned that your mom used to say green eye monster, or, you know, not having a green eye for things that don't belong to you.
Yeah. So let me elaborate on that. So I was born in St. Vincent, and we grew up very, very, very poor. Like some of the families you see that they advertise in Africa, they were us. They were part of, you know, how we grew up. We didn't have very much, and the little things that we did have, we shared. You know, so of course you had neighbors who did better than we did, and so therefore my mum would always instill in us, don't look at what they've got, look at what God can give you. It may not be food, it may not be materialistic things, but God gives you far more of anything else that they could possibly have. So that I've always been brought up like that, to not to envy other people and to wish people well no matter what. So that's been my foundation.
Thanks for that. And I think you're right. I think that ideology, if I could call it that, it's something that I also grew up with and brought up with my parents, always saying, you know, work hard to earn what you can earn and be proud of what you have, and don't look at your neighbor. And I think the same concept is heard here as well in the Western world, where it says, you know, don't look at the Joneses, don't be like the Joneses. You know, we're all trying to be people that we're not. We're trying to be other people and wanting to go to as far length as we can get it to get what we want, and that's not often the right way to do things. So Pauline, I know you wanted to come in there. In terms of Green Eye Monster and how, you know, Patricia was explaining how she was taught not to covet other people's things, and I also said that I was brought up like that as well, to kind of work hard and earn your crust and enjoy what you have, and not worry about what other people have or wanting to be like the Joneses.
That's right, and I totally agree with that. At the end of the day, what will be for you will be for you. You run your own race, as we say, and everybody has different dreams and desires. I don't look at my friends the sort of thing because they've got that, I want that, because no, it's not the right thing to do. But then we're not all the same, are we? You know, there's things,
and I think some of the things that we were taught as children, you know, being brought up by our parents, was to stop tempting ourselves with things that, you know, that may kind of cause us to want. So, and what she meant by that was to develop other alternative philosophies. My philosophy is to wish well for everyone and give whatever I can.
And what will be for you will be for you.
That's all. Sorry?
And what will be for you will be for you.
That's right. So it was to avoid, I mean, you can avoid these lust and temptations and so forth, but it's not to say that we don't have them, because we are not perfect, you know. Okay, and even if we are, you know, and even if we are taught all these great philosophies and these great idealisms, it doesn't mean we don't have them, because we are still fallible, we're still human, we're still fragile. I mean, I would say that, you know, one of my things that I have is shoes. You know, I love shoes, and it's not that I absolutely love shoes. And the thing is, I don't always buy shoes to wear them. I buy them now because I can. You know, it sounds awful. I know it's a lust, but you know, the thing is, I'm fallible. But the thing is, I don't think that I'm hurting anyone by doing that. And you know, and that's the main thing. I'm not. It's just for my own gratification. But it doesn't put anybody else at risk or at fault. It's just something that I like to do. And then I do give them away, but I like to own them for a bit. It's just, you know, I'm fragile, I'm fallible, I'm not perfect. So, you know, that's how I live my life. As long as I'm not hurting somebody, then, you know, it's okay to a degree. See, shoes are, you know, they're throwaway things. You can throw them away, but for a while you want them, and you want to look at them, and you want to wear them.
Yeah.
Another thing that I always thought,
that's my fault,
was not to lust after anybody. So suppose you see someone that's got a fantastic car and you want that. It's not to lust after it, because you don't know how they come by it.
Yeah.
That's right.
You don't know how they come by it, the struggles that they may have had to get it. Do you know what I mean? And it's there for everyone if they want it, in terms of things. Do you know what I mean? Which is different from a strong sexual desire, because that could hurt you and hurt other people. And the same, do you know what I mean? There's people that lust after power, okay? And we see that in the world today, that lust after power, and then when they get it, they could do no good.
You know, I think what I've done over the years is acknowledge my own needs, okay? And there may not be a need for anybody else. They're my needs. It's just something that I feel that I needed. I remember, you know, growing up, I didn't have a pair of shoes. I had to have hand-me-downs. So now I overindulge in that, you know, if you like, that's what I do, because now I know I can, but I'm not hurting anybody. And that's the main thing.
And so you give them away.
Sorry.
Yes.
You
yes, I
do. Sandra, about people on social media. Let's take certain reality shows. People lust and crave to be like these people, and they will go out there and inject themselves with certain solutions, and it does them harm. And that's what lust can do for you. It can hurt you. You know, I've known people who have lusted after individuals, and when they've got them, it hasn't lasted because it wasn't built on a good foundation. And that's what I'm trying to say about lust. Lust is not a good foundation to begin anything.
You know what? I would say that each and every one of us have a degree of lust, whether it be something that's huge or minor. I think each and every single one of us, if we're honest, have that in us.
Of course we do.
Yeah,
of course we do.
You know,
but it's how you control it and contain it.
And you know, when you acknowledge it, you can then deal with it. It doesn't have to be something that's, you know, that even shows on the outside. It doesn't even have to be something that you share with somebody, but each and every one of us have it.
I think you're absolutely right, Patricia and Pauline, in terms of, you know, everyone has an element or a degree of lust in them. But it's how you control it, how you measure that, and how you ensure that that's not hurting other people, because you
allow it to manifest in your life.
Yeah. So how does one control, how does one deal with this lustful feeling and desires, you know?
I think Patricia said it earlier on, you accept who you are, and you work within your boundaries of what you have in life. And you build from there, but you don't have to be unique, be an individual. You don't have to follow this crowd.
And I think how do we overcome it is to stop tempting ourselves, okay? Is to learn to respect ourselves and others, to avoid certain things that's going to get us into that situation where we're going to start lusting for things that we don't even need, and half the times we don't need them, you know. So that's by acknowledging your own need and looking for alternative philosophies, whether that be helping others, or whether that be, you know, putting your money towards something else, or, you know, help other people to maybe look at the basic way that they live their lives. You know, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be just a couple of quid to help somebody get their eyesight back, you know. And that's what I do. I feel like sometimes, you know, I do overindulge with my shoes, and I do give them away, but sometimes I do think, well, you know what, I don't actually need them, you know, let me give my £2 to something that's a lot more, you know, that's gonna get somebody their eyesight back, or maybe, you know, the hair lip or something like that. You have to think like that. So
£2.
Sorry?
How much you pay for shoes? £2.
No, what I'm saying is sorry, honestly, who just said that?
But Pauline, you should know. It'd be Pauline that would say something like that.
What I'm saying is that the concept of redirecting your priorities. You know, you're thinking to yourself, okay, you don't actually need those pair of shoes, but somebody else might have a greater need to you, and it may be something that costs far less than the shoes that you probably would have bought anyway. So you acknowledge that, and you give, because you feel that you're gonna reap more good than the pair of shoes that you're gonna have sitting there doing nothing. Of course, the shoes is just an analogy, okay? It's not. It's just an analogy. And I mean, if I paid £2 for my shoes, boy, my house would be full of shoes.
You have to get a bigger house.
Exactly.
But then isn't it all well and good saying, you know, you can do this, you can do that and the other, but how easy is it though to kind of have that self-control and confidence to, you know, and courage and boldness to do something differently?
Respect. You must have respect for others. If you don't have respect for others, then you don't have love for others, and you don't want to help. You don't want things to get better for them. You have to respect yourself and others. And that's what God says. Respect yourself, okay? If you don't respect yourself, how can you respect others and love others and acknowledge others? And he wants us to love our neighbors. And that's what we do. We respect ourselves.
Yeah. And not lust after our neighbor or our neighbor's stuff as well on that.
No, you have to wish them well.
Up with the Joneses.
Sorry, Pauline.
There's no need to be keeping up with the Joneses. You know, you got people who would spend on a handbag rather than buy groceries. I don't get that.
What's the damage that can do? What's the damage that could do to an individual? So let's just run with that thread. So I don't buy food, but I buy the most expensive handbag you could ever imagine. And what am I trying to get from that?
Who are you buying these things for? Who are you thinking about when you're going into that mindset where you're thinking that the way you appear to others is more important to what you actually need for yourself?
That's right.
You know, I know a person who they were so engrossed in what people thought about them, they bought themselves a very expensive car and slept in their car because they had no home. I mean,
no way.
How twisted is that? Absolutely. How
no way.
Because people's opinions of you are more important than what you do for yourself. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Absolutely true. That is absolutely true.
So they sit in the car in the cold or in the rain, in the heat or whatever, and they think that's acceptable. That
absolutely. They slept in their cars and they went to wash in public toilets. That's how twisted.
No.
Seriously.
Now, so for me, where does that individual then begin to rebalance themselves, their thinking and doing things differently? What I'm trying to get at is, I don't think they would do that by themselves. They're going to need somebody to support them, to help them through that.
The thing is, sometimes you find that people are blinded by even the basic needs that they have, because they feel that to interpret themselves as something that they're not is more important to others, not to them, but to others. You know, this person that I'm talking about, if he doesn't acknowledge that he's doing wrong, he's not going to change because he can't see what's wrong. He can't see what he's doing wrong. Because he's got the flashy car, he feels that he's arrived. But how can you arrive when you don't have a home to rest your head? You haven't got a front door to shut behind you to say,
you haven't got a drive to park your flashy car in.
Absolutely. Your home is your foundation. If you don't have a home, anything else that you have seems pointless, doesn't it?
Right. So, I mean, I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah, I'm big on that.
I was too. One day when he knocked to my door and he asked me if he could have a shower, and I said, why? And because I need a shower, I need to get changed. Where were you going? Oh, I just need to get changed. Oh, where did you shower yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know. And no, doesn't have a home. Where do you live? Doesn't have a home, but you have a nice flashy car that you can drive outside and park outside my street. Seriously? So this is how twisted we can get.
Yeah, that is the danger of lust, isn't it? Really, right? Absolutely. There, when people don't assess things the right way, your basic need in life is not met, and then you kind of go up to the next level without meeting the basic need.
Absolutely.
Doesn't make sense.
So you see, lust can be dangerous. It can be really dangerous because, you know, we can't sometimes see what we're doing wrong because we're so focused on these materialistic things, or, you know, because we have to have these things to show, and it can be dangerous. Literally, you're living on the streets because you can't, if you don't have a home, you're living on the streets.
Yeah. So what would you say to our listeners in terms of how they could get help? You know, because as I said, sometimes these things are not easy to get over by ourselves. We need support, we need friends, we need family members to help us, or maybe even reach out to organizations to help. I mean, what do you think?
I think you first need to have a realization and an understanding that what you're doing is wrong. First of all, you need to understand that. And if you don't realize that, then you can't make those changes. And there are people out there, friends who will kind of help you along the way. It's good to have a good foundation of your friends that, the ones that will tell you the truth, the ones, who will help you, the ones, who will support you when you need it, because sometimes things are hard to be heard, sometimes it's hard to hear things. But if they are your true friends, they will tell you those things, and that's when you start having that self-realization that really and truly you might need to make some changes. And then you seek out what you need to do. You start putting some kind of strategies and plans and, surround yourself with the people that can actually help you along the way. That's really what you need to do. You need to realize, first of all, that, your behavior is wrong. And then that's the only way that you can change your behavior is by realizing that it is wrong. And then the doors will open that where you can find that support to help yourself. Your friends will help you, your neighbors will help you, whoever you surround yourself will help you. But it's that realization first. Unless you realize that you are doing things wrong, you are not going to find that pathway to do things right.
So it's realization and acceptance, I think.
Absolutely.
Because you could realize it and not accept it, and therefore don't do anything about it. But accepting that actually I do need help, and then reach out to people around you who can help you.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. I think we're coming to the end of our show today, which is brilliant. And thank you so much, my ladies from the book club. So this is where I tell our viewers that, if they like me to cover any topic, that they should drop it in the comment section below. And if they have any views, or you have experiences of your own that you want to share, please do that. I'm always willing and happy to listen and hear what you have to say. And don't forget to please share this video with your friends and your family, and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, when we meet again and have a great chat, have a good time and see you soon. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.